Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming this evening. My name is Daisy Cooper and I'm the Director of the Commonwealth Advisory Bureau. We're absolutely delighted to welcome you all here and to host two very special guests indeed, Justice Albie Sachs and Lord David Howe, both of whom I'll introduce in just a few minutes. There are two reasons for our launch event tonight. The first is to celebrate the rebranding and the renaming of the Commonwealth Policy Studies Unit as the Commonwealth Advisory Bureau. For 12 years, the CPSU has been praised for its high-quality, high-impact work, and this can, of course, only be attributed to the leadership and vision of Richard Bourne, who established the CPSU in 1999. Richard saw a gap in the market for an independent, cutting-edge think tank that wasn't afraid to tackle issues in the too hard basket. An independent think tank that would advance Commonwealth values both in Commonwealth countries and Commonwealth institutions. We believe that need still exists, and we now have an image that reflects our reputation and standing. And for that, we'd like to thank our partners at Earth Branding Agency. We've also changed our name, and we've put the word advisory at the heart of what we do. This marks a deliberate shift to emphasise that we're not just in the business of producing publications that sit on the shelf. We're out to make a difference, to demonstrate impact, and to work with and advise governments on how they can take forward some of our policy ideas. So Your Excellencies and High Commission representatives, many of whom I see in the room this evening, we look forward to working with you very closely, particularly in the next few weeks, but also in the months and years ahead. The other reason for our launch this evening is to launch the CAB's policy briefing for the 2011 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Tonight is the first of two launches. The second will be in Perth, a couple of days before the Heads of Government meeting, and our speakers there will be Michael Kirby, a member of the Commonwealth Eminent Persons Group, Andrew Forrest, chairman of Fortescue Metal Groups, and a prominent Zimbabwean activist. It will also be chaired by Lord David Chigi, who is the chair of our International Advisory Board and spokesman for international development in the UK House of Lords. This publication and our two launch events would not have been possible without the Herculean efforts of Nexus Strategic Partnerships, who we're very glad to hear this evening, who amongst other things helped us to produce this publication, and of course our sponsors, Fortescue Metal Groups. Our briefing includes 7 chapters, each of which makes recommendations to heads of government. The chapters cover everything from extractive industries and global consumption, proposals for the Commonwealth's future engagement with Zimbabwe, and a call for a transparent, merit-based process for selecting the 6th Commonwealth Secretary-General in a few years' time. It also includes an interview with Albie Sachs on South Africa's experience of decriminalising homosexuality. This issue is undoubtedly one of the most controversial in the Commonwealth. 46 of the Commonwealth's 54 countries still criminalise homosexuality, many with very severe penalties. But the issue has never been discussed in a Commonwealth meeting. So we're truly honoured to have Albie with us this evening to share his thoughts on how Commonwealth leaders can move forward on this issue. Albie will be known to many of you. He is a renowned human rights activist and former South African Constitutional Court judge. His career in human rights activism started at the age of 17, when as a second-year law student at the University of Cape Town, he took part in the Defiance of Unjust Laws campaign. 3 years later, he attended the Congress of the People at Kliptown, where the Freedom Charter was adopted. He started practice as an advocate at the Cape Bar aged 21. The bulk of his work involved defending people charged under racist statutes and repressive security laws, many of whom faced the death sentence. Albie himself was raided by the security police, subjected to banning orders restricting his movement, and eventually placed in solitary confinement without trial for 2 prolonged spells of detention. In 1966, he went into exile. After spending 11 years studying and teaching law in England, he worked for a further 11 years in Mozambique as a law professor and legal researcher. In 1988, Albie was blown up by a bomb placed in his car in Maputo by South African security agents, losing an arm and the sight of one eye. During the 1980s, working closely with Oliver Tambo, leader of the ANC in exile, Albie helped draft the organisation's code of conduct as well as its statutes. After recovering from the bomb, he devoted himself full-time to preparations for a new democratic constitution for South Africa. Albie set up the South African Constitutional Studies Centre right here at the Institute of Commonwealth Studies, of which the Commonwealth Advisory Bureau is a part. After he came out of the London Hospital in 1988, he then transferred the Constitutional Studies Centre to the University of the Western Cape in 1991. Albie returned home and as a member of the Constitutional Committee and the National Executive of the ANC took an active part in the negotiations which led to South Africa becoming a constitutional democracy. After the first democratic election in 1994, he was appointed by President Nelson Mandela to serve on the newly established Constitutional Court. It was during this time that Albie was a leading figure in the South African movement to protect South Africans from any discrimination based on sexual orientation. Albie, welcome back. It's also a real pleasure to welcome back Lord Howell. Lord Howell was here earlier this year in March. He delivered the first Peter Lyne Memorial Lecture. The Right Honourable Lord David Howell was appointed Minister of State at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office last year, and he has responsibility for Commonwealth matters and energy. He was a Member of Parliament for Guildford from 1966 to 1997 and was made a life peer thereafter. He was in the Armed Forces and studied at King's College, Cambridge, where he read economics. His first job was in the Treasury, before becoming a leader writer for the Daily Telegraph. He is the author of several books, including the best-selling The Edge of Now, published in 2000, and has written regular columns for international newspapers, including the Japan Times and the International Herald Tribune. Lord Howell is the holder of the Grand Cordon of the Sacred Treasure, awarded to him by the Emperor of Japan for services to Japan-UK relations. We really are delighted to have you both here this evening, and with that introduction, I would now like to invite Justice Albie Sachs to take the floor, following which Lord Howell will make some closing remarks and the vote of thanks. Please join me in welcoming our guests.